today we're working on getting our chimney out the wall for this wood stove. I was going to raise up the stove a little bit on the floor, but due to height restrictions above, I've negated that idea. I've got it on these floorboards and there's not even any flex in them, so I think we're going to go with it. If I need to, I can beef it up from down below, and that'd probably be a good idea to do that. We've got a big piece of sheet metal with a good lip on it to set under the stove so I can extend it out past the front quite a ways. Because those of you who have burned wood for any length of time, you know yourselves, you open up that stove door once in a while, the coals pop and one will fly right out, and it's something, especially in a building like this, we're really going to have to be careful of, because once everything gets good and dry in here, it'll be a friggin' tinderbox, so we really have to be careful of that. So the through the wall kit I got does not take into account the overhang on the building. It's gonna suck because this thing's gonna look kind of goofy on the outside of the building. Maybe I should have just went with the through the roof kit, but you'll have to pardon me if I'm a little bit chicken shit to get up on that roof. After last spring, I really don't feel like getting up there and doing it. I'm comfortable enough working off of an extension ladder that I can secure it really well, but up on this roof's really tall. And it's winter time, we got a sheet metal roof. That could be a bad recipe, but I want to get the stove in. I want to start getting it heated up in here, make it a little more enjoyable to work, you know what I mean? Get things sealed up, the same thing we've been saying on the last 10 videos. But, so anyway, you guys are going to notice that I'm not putting a damper in the pipe, and I'm probably going to get a lot of comments on that. So let me explain myself before we even get to that point. This stove is an airtight stove. As long as you keep a good door gasket on it, it will remain an airtight stove. The only spot this thing gets combustion air is through the bottom. There's a pull lever right there that opens up a little damper to allow air in and out of the stove. And that seals it off very well. You push that thing all the way in and you have successfully stopped combustion air from getting to the stove. There's also a damper on the back here, a bypass, a flue bypass on there. With that closed and the bottom shut down, all oxygen is taken away from the fire. So if you do have a chimney fire, it's not going to be a big issue. This stove has run for 30 years without a chimney damper on it. So if that gives you any indication. And there was only one time when I was a kid when this thing had a chimney fire, and that's because it didn't get cleaned the way it should have been every year. And it wasn't even really that bad. You could see it start to spark quite a bit coming out of the chimney. We shut the bottom down, closed the back. It was just about immediately it was out. Now that's not to say that if you had a bad enough buildup of creosote that you couldn't create a really bad situation, because you really can. It is so important to keep your wood stove chimneys clean. It's part of the reason I'm not throwing the damper in that, because it just kind of makes it a pain in the ass to clean it also. So the other thing that's going to be hard with this through the wall kit is, in order for me to clean this every year, and sometimes twice a year, is I'm going to have to set a ladder up, take the cap off to clean out, and brush it from below. It's not a huge deal, but it is going to be a pain in the ass, especially, you know, as I age and get older. And I'm in my 30s, so I hopefully have some time before it becomes an issue. If it becomes too much of an issue, we may just eventually pop one through the roof. Not a big deal. The other thing with this through the wall kit did not take into consideration the overhang on a building. This kit was designed to hold that pipe 2 inches off the side of a building, because that's all you need to combustible clearances. And it only sends you a piece that's big enough for a 4-inch wall. That's no good for me. We need to get this thing out past the eave. Now, they do offer to sell you a kit to bring it out and up past, but I don't want any more elbows in this thing than the one I'm going to have, because like I said, it's going to be hard enough to clean this thing, and I don't want my draft affected that much. I honestly don't care for any elbows in a wood stove chimney, but this is a short enough run. I think I'm not too worried about it, especially for burning dry wood scraps. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. So anyway, what we're going to have to do to make this work, I'm going to have to do a little bit of I'm going to have to do some crazy fancy engineering. I'm going to have to build a box to extend this part out inside. Now, if you're wondering why I'm going to that trouble rather than just getting a shorter piece of pipe, the single wall stovepipe that's going to go into this needs 18 inches of clearance all the way around it for combustibles. The way it's going to go through up there, it's going to be really tight to that strainer beam. If you're wondering what ties your queen post together, it's called a strainer beam. It's going to only be maybe 4 inches off of that strainer beam, and that will be hot enough to ignite that if it's right close to it. So I want to extend it out past that strainer beam. Now above it, it's going to be too close to combustibles. We're going to have to make a heat shield for it. Now when you make a heat shield for something like that, I like to do it as a double piece of metal. So if you I'll put a piece of sheet metal across the rafters right above it, and then I'm going to space another one down with some pipe, run the screws through it that way. That way it has a little bit of an air pocket inside of there, and that'll keep that wood from getting too hot. I'll do it at like an inch, something like that. So I mean, it's not going to be, it probably wouldn't light it off, but with the insulation we're going to have, and you're going to have wooden ceilings, I'm really not into taking any risks that way if I don't have to, because after everything we've been through to get this building put up and in place, I just don't feel like having it burned down about my ears. So anyway, stay tuned, we're going to get at it, and I'll catch you on the other side of it. Tell you what, climbing these things is a lot slower than it used to be. Well, there's going to be blocks all over this building like this, but it beats having the ladder kick over. Safety first, right? There. That'd be a lot easier. All right. See if we can drop the tools. Well, you gotta like the fit the first time. Oh, first step. Always the hardest, isn't it? Okay guys, here's what it looks like all put together. Now, I had a wild hair that I was gonna go up there and throw this whole piece in all as one piece. I've done it before, but I'll tell you what, it's not happening today. This piece right here is just too long for me to... I've got a 28-foot extension ladder up against the building right now, fully extended. I can't go any higher with it, and I'm just right at the top trying to do this. That's how tall the building is. So I'd rather take the pucker factor out of it. We will do what I should have done to begin with. Get the bottom bracket all set up, ready to go. I've got a frame out of box to mount that to, and then we can put this in. We can actually put that on. Then we slide this through the hole from the inside, get it in there, lock it in place, and give her a twist. And then we run the screws. Now, the manufacturer does not tell you to put screws in these. I'm doing it because I'm in such a high wind area. You could twist these, the metal's thin enough, you twist them too much and they just twist right off anyway. So I'd rather have that little bit of extra security knowing that this thing's not just going to come right off on me first time I do anything with it. And we have a lot of wind. Now this bracket here, unfortunately, is going to end up pretty low, probably right about there. But believe it or not, it's actually just right to support it. I don't need one any higher than that, especially if this is all screwed off and it's not, can't go anywhere. But that's what we're in. That's what we're into. That's what we're up to. Got the cap ready to go, all that good stuff. Yeah, man, I had this all the way up to the top, and by the time I climbed up there, I'm shaking a little bit, you know, because it's been a while since I've done that kind of thing, and just your body's not used to it, you know, so you're getting fatigued really quickly, and got up there. I got this thing just started to go through the hole, and I almost dropped the damn thing on the ground. I said, nope, that's far enough. We're gonna come down and do it right instead of trying to shortcut it before somebody gets hurt or I ruin this expensive stovepipe. Anyway, we're going to box this out and we'll keep going. Well, I think this is going to be the last piece for tonight. I tell you what, that was a nightmare doing that out there. Holy cow, was that bad. I really don't feel like doing that again. cow. Holy shit, folks. Pardon my French. You guys should know how I am by now. Boy, that was just no fun. Oh, one more trip outside. I'm going to screw this thing in on the other side and make sure she's good and tight, and then I'm done with the outside for this year. I could do without ever doing this again. I am feeling it, folks. I am super feeling it. I'm still a little shaky from a lot of climbing today. I didn't run the camera much for the ladder work. I was, at the risk of sounding crude, I was quite literally shitting my pants the entire time I was up there. I was so friggin' nervous I was shaking up there. So, it's funny how the psychological stuff stays with you. But anyway, we're almost ready to slide that wood stove into place and fire it up. We got to put the metal on the floor. We've got to shorten up the single wall stovepipe going up, get the elbow attached. I guess we have plenty left to do, but hopefully tomorrow, really hoping tomorrow I can kind of get that stuff done so we can get some heat on in here. But yeah, that was a bastard up there. That's just a bastard. They didn't really have a kit for my exact needs, so I had to do a little bit of my own engineering for the bracket and things like that. If I had the time, I would have made a nice metal bracket for there, and we're probably going to end up having to do that. The chimney's supported well enough now that if I decide to take that off, I could take that wooden bracket I made off and put a metal one right in its place, which will be a lot easier than what we were doing tonight up there. That was just miserable. Wife came home, Mary came home, saw the ladder extended all the way up, and she wasn't too happy about it, but like I told her, you know, I really, no other way it's going to get done. So I don't know, I tell you, that's why I didn't go through the roof of this thing, because I know darn well if I got up on that roof I wouldn't be able to get back down. Trying to get that movement to swing the leg back onto the ladder and get the foot to bend enough, it's just not happening. I'm not a big fan of extension ladders at this point in time. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping the psychological aspect of that kind of dies down, but physically the body is just really not used to that. And this is the first time in a long time that this leg has just been screaming. I'm probably going to hobble my ass into the house tonight, sit by the coal stove, edit this video, answer some comments, and I'm probably going to sleep like a baby tonight. And so we'll see what happens. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see. Hopefully we can finish up tomorrow. I'm really hoping we can. So you guys will have to see the finished product on the next video, hopefully. So have a good night, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.